What is going on, guys? Josh Baldwin here from Mad Money Millennial. In this video, we are going to talk about 7 things that you need to know about Social Security benefits and its future. This includes those of you on Social Security, SSI, and disability benefits. This information changes on an almost daily basis, and it's my job to keep you informed with the latest updates. So make sure you watch every single video and watch all the way through so you don't miss out on the most current information. Chief Actuary Stephen Goss breaks down Social Security's financial problems and potential fixes, and why some popular perceptions of the program are dead wrong. It is a critical moment for Social Security, and a confusing one for the 65 million people currently receiving its benefits, and those who hope to join their ranks in the future. Lawmakers, think tank prognosticators, and cable news anchors are hotly debating whether Social Security is going bankrupt. The answer is no, but it does face a serious shortfall. Congress needs to overhaul the program if it wants to avoid substantial benefit cuts 12 years from now. The need to raise the federal government's debt ceiling this year, meanwhile, has turned up the heat on Social Security reform discussions, while also sparking fears that benefit payments could be disrupted later this year if the US were to default on its debts. At the center of this storm is Stephen Goss, Social Security's chief actuary. His office sizes up the program's future costs and income based on demographic and economic assumptions, calculating the potential impact of the myriad proposals that aim to overhaul Social Security. This year, Goss will mark 50 years at Social Security, and he has been chief actuary for nearly half that time. Goss has seen many Social Security reform ideas, as well as some debt ceiling crises, come and go. And he has long urged Congress to move sooner rather than later to bolster the program's financial position, while studiously avoiding endorsement of any particular fix. MarketWatch spoke with Goss about Social Security's current challenges, what he sees ahead, and what has kept him on the job for the past half-century. While administrations change, dealing with people who have different perspectives but are all working towards doing the best for the American people is exciting. Excitement may be the last thing workers and retirees want from Social Security, but is the chief actuary frantic about the program's future? Far from it. Here are 7 key takeaways from our conversation with Goss. Number 1 is no, Social Security is not going broke. Social Security's combined retirement and disability trust fund reserves are projected to run dry in 2035, according to the latest annual report from the program's trustees. The retirement and disability trust funds are legally separate entities, but a hypothetical combined trust fund is used to assess the program's overall health. The trust fund reserves represent the difference between the program's income and cost, accumulated over time. Payroll tax revenues go into the trust funds, and benefits and administrative expenses are paid from the trust funds as well. That 2035 depletion date doesn't mean people retiring in 12 years or more are doomed. Many people have the impression that if the trust fund reserves were to become depleted, that would mean we'd reach a point where Social Security will run out of money. What we really try to emphasize is that is simply not the case. Even if the reserves are used up, we'd still have daily money coming in from the Treasury, from payroll taxes that people are paying, which would be sufficient enough to pay 80% of full scheduled benefits. The projected trust fund depletion date is really just to show what we need action by that time. And in the history of the program, Congress has always stepped up to avert reserve depletion, most recently in 1995 and 2015, when the Disability Trust Fund was on the brink of evaporating. Number 2, kicking the can down the road is costly. For years, Goss has urged lawmakers to step on the gas with Social Security's reforms, laying out a simple menu of options. As he put it in congressional testimony last June, by 2035, the Congress will need to reduce scheduled benefits by about 25%, increase scheduled revenue by about 33%, or make some combination of these changes. Those choices may sound painful, but if you enact changes a good bit before we have the necessity to do so, you have more options of what you can do and phase them in more gradually. And even best yet, you can give people advance warning of what kinds of changes they'll be facing. A classic example is a 1983 Social Security reform that raised the normal retirement age from 65 to 67. That change began taking effect 17 years later for people who turned 62 in the year 2000 and was fully phased in just last year for people turning 62 in 2022 and later. Number 3, reasonable people disagree about how soon the program's reserves could run dry. A Congressional Budget Office report released in December projected that the combined Social Security Trust Fund reserves would run out in 2033, 2 years earlier than the date in which the Social Security's trustees report had said. CBO's assumptions have typically been more conservative than the Social Security's trustees, in part because CBO has been assuming faster declines in mortality and higher rates of disability benefit applications. Those two factors would mean higher costs for the program and deplete the trust fund sooner. But in fact, death rates increased during the pandemic, and even prior to that, mortality has not been declining as fast as some at CBO had imagined. Disability applications and benefit receipts have also fallen below expectations even during the pandemic. Number 4, recent economic trends suggest that this year's Social Security projections could look even worse than last year's. Assumptions for the last trustees report, which appeared in June 2022, were developed in January and February of last year. Since then, clearly there has been greater expectation of the possibility of an economic slowdown as we're moving into 2023. If that comes to pass, that probably will be a slight negative for trust fund projections, but we have a long way to go before we have anything clear on that. Number 5, raising the normal retirement age isn't a cure-all for Social Security. In 2040, the ratio of people over age 65 to people age 20 to 64 is expected to be roughly double the ratio in 2008. The growing disconnect between the number of people collecting Social Security benefits and the number paying into the system affects the ability of payroll taxes to cover the costs of the program. Some lawmakers have suggested addressing the trend by raising the normal retirement age. If the changing age distribution was largely a result of people over 65 or 70 living longer, raising the retirement age in sync with that longer longevity could fix most of the problems, but that's not the case. The main cause has been a drop in birth rates after 1965, and not people living longer. A proposal to raise the retirement age by 1 month every 2 years up to age 69 illustrates the underwhelming impact of raising the retirement age to be consistent with longer life expectancy. That would maintain the ratio of life expectancy at the normal retirement age to the number of potential years of work from age 20 through normal retirement age, which is critical for the financing of Social Security. But it would reduce the program's long-term shortfall by only 18%. Number 6, raising or eliminating the cap on earnings subject to payroll taxes could make a big difference, depending on how it's implemented. A growing concentration of earnings among the highest earners is chipping away at the Social Security's health. Only earnings up to a certain cap, $160,200 for 2023, are subject to the payroll taxes that finance Social Security, and only earnings below that threshold are used to determine benefits. The taxable cap is adjusted based on average wage growth in the economy. But today, roughly 18% of total earnings in jobs covered by Social Security exceed that taxable cap, up from 9% 40 years ago, while the percentage of workers with earnings above that cap has remained relatively steady at about 6%. Various proposals have suggested raising the taxable threshold so that about 90% of earnings would again be subject to payroll taxes. Depending on whether those additional earnings are included when determining benefit levels, that change could reduce Social Security's long-term shortfall by about 20% to 31%. If the cap were eliminated altogether, without any benefit credit for the excess earnings, that change alone would eliminate about 3/4 of the shortfall and extend the reserve depletion date out to 2067. And last but not least, we have lucky number 7. Will Social Security's annual inflation adjustments keep up with the actual cost of living? Guess what? It's all in the index. Social Security's cost of living adjustments have been critical for many beneficiaries in the past couple of years, as a 5.9% benefit bump for 2022 and 8.7% increase for 2023 helped retirees keep up with soaring inflation. Currently, those adjustments are based on the CPIW, which reflects prices paid by urban wage earners and clerical workers. And there's an ongoing debate about whether that index best reflects inflation's impact on retirees. All right, my Mad Money minions, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please leave a like, comment down below any information that you might have about your own Social Security benefits, and maybe you can help someone else out. And of course, hit that subscribe button and notification bell right next to it. Hitting that bell will make sure you get notified exactly when my videos are coming out and not a week or two later. If you're interested in investing, you can now get your 1 free stock by clicking the link in the description. All right, guys, stay safe, stay hustling, stay warm, and I will talk to you all again soon.